We are here today to announce that the Justice Department has secured felony guilty pleas from the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance.
Actually, it's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Largest virtual.
Binance.
Binance. And let me be clear. It's Binance.
Binance.
Binance. Council has discussed crypto regulations and legislations at length, and we have come to the conclusion that instead of regulating, we are going to ape a fat bag each into laptop and pump it to over $1,300,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 market cap. Let's fucking go, crackheads.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Morning Coffee. I got my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go, because we have to talk about the next leg up for crypto and what is going to happen right now after the people from Trump's administration are basically announcing the strategic Bitcoin reserve into our face, and the market is still not moving, right? So we have to discuss what is happening there. Also, a little bit of world politics that is shaping right now and is probably going to affect the markets. And then, of course, the signal that is signaling that we are going to go into the next leg up very, very soon. So yeah, let's dive into that. Make sure to stay all the way through, as we're also going to look a little bit at Veve, the Veve app update in the very end. Of course, altcoins in the meantime. Stay all the way through. Good morning, good morning, good morning, each and everyone. Where's my camera? There's my camera. So, good morning, and smash up the like button, please. First thing in the morning. And we see here Trucking Hank coming in with the fastest good morning of the year 2025, as well as Omeprazole and Jasper Frank. Good to see you here. If you're not subscribed yet, not you guys, I know you're subscribed, but the other guys lurking in the shadows, then make sure to subscribe as well. Also, if you watch this later, notifications on so you never miss out on the live stream. Like smashed if you just joined and didn't hear the last in the last minute, that you have to smash the like button right now. Thanks for the like. And let's see here what's in the chat. Actually, it's Binance. That is very true. It is Binance. That's the only real. That's the only way to call this exchange. I smooshed the like. It's free. Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. And let's jump right into the action. So what do we have here? Let's listen to this, because I think it was for, or it came for some people as a surprise, let's say, to say the least. But let's listen.
The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site. Level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
Okay, so very interesting, let's put it that way. President Trump saying the US will take over the Gaza Strip and they will own it and do a job with it, turn it into economic zone, dismantling, leveling the ground, whatever. So basically that means that the entire area, if true, first of all, US forces would have to go there, right? And then also capital needs to flow there. And basically that would mean that this area would become somewhat a US administrated territory, right? So some people caught by surprise. Definitely there are let's just say there are a lot of things that the world has to digest that come with it, and the question is also how much are the other countries involved in that process that were before supporting that area, right? So Iran, Lebanon, or at least the forces in Lebanon, and so they are basically MAGA here, make Gaza great again, something like that. What is that? Make MGGA. But that just from a more neutral stand. Then also Justin Trudeau, the guy that made fun of people buying Bitcoin at 15,000, is coming out here and says, I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our 1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhancing coordination with our American partners, and increase resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. Why does everyone have a czar now? This is super crazy. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-US joint strike force to combat organized crime and fentanyl money laundering. I have also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl, and we will be backing it with 200 million, so 1.5 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while work together. So basically, someone said it here, haha, Trump owns you. That's basically what's happening, right? I mean, the tariffs are not imposed to make money or really to take or to go into effect for a long time. They are to force this. Canada now has to spend the 1.3 billion on the border plan, and and now tariffs are not there for 30 days. The same happened with Mexico. Nice phone call, actions into place. The US doesn't have to deal with this. It doesn't have to spend into that. So, the tariffs or the threat of the tariffs takes effect here, which also means that the downside that has been playing out in the last days in the markets is less down, right? Since Canada probably doesn't get the tariffs even if they just execute what is demanded, as well as Mexico, right? So then you're back to China and the China question, right? That needs to be answered later. But let's see the chat here a little bit. GM fellow hodlers, Green Lantern, good morning to you. What's going on? Money flows are always looking for return on investment. Yep. And make Gaza buckies, whatever that is. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Is that something mean or something like that? I don't know what that means. Justin is a joke. We need new prime minister. Make prime minister great again. I cannot judge. I mean, I can judge that he's a joke, but I don't know what else is going on, to be honest, in Canada. Now, here's the next czar. You know, everyone has a czar. Now, yesterday, long-awaited press conference. There you go.
So one of the things that the president instructed us to do was to evaluate the idea for a Bitcoin reserve, and so that is one of the things. That's one of the first things we're going to look at as part of the internal working group in the administration. So as soon as we get all that set up, we're still waiting for some cabinet secretaries who are on the working group to get confirmed. So we're still in the very early stages of this. But that's one of the first things we're gonna look at is the feasibility of a Bitcoin reserve. I think the concept of the sovereign wealth fund is a little separate, and you'd have to talk to Secretary Lutnick, or soon to be Secretary Lutnick, about that.
Okay, so that was all over Twitter today. That crypto czar here. The bottom line is, I think what the market doesn't like is that he says we look into the feasibility of a crypto reserve, right? The market wants to hear we are going to set up a crypto reserve tomorrow, and we're going to buy 1 billion worth of Bitcoin every day for the rest of the eternity, right? That's what the market wants to hear, but that's not going to happen right away like this, right? So yeah. And as Omeprazole says, they asked him that about at the very end of the press conference. Otherwise, he would have not mentioned it. Yeah, and then also he got asked again in the here at CNBC.
The feasibility of a Bitcoin reserve. You said that's being studied. It's one of the first things that's on the table here. What goes into that process? Is that something that would be standalone, or is that something that could potentially be tucked into, say, a sovereign wealth fund, which has been the speculation today on the heels of that executive order?
I guess it's possible that the sovereign wealth fund could decide that they want to make Bitcoin or digital assets part of its portfolio. You're going to have to ask the incoming Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick about that. The item that President Trump asked our working group on digital assets to study is whether it's feasible to create either a Bitcoin reserve or some sort of digital asset stockpile. And so we're going to be looking at that question. We haven't committed yet to doing it, but it's one of the first things we're going to be looking at.
Hey, David, good to see you.
The feasibility of a Bitcoin reserve.
So basically also here, right, more hesitant to confirm this Bitcoin strategic reserve. So there is more to come. But the person that is managing America's sovereign wealth fund also has something to say about Bitcoin, and that's a little bit more bullish, right? So let's listen. So this guy, let's see what's the name? I think they show the name. I here. Howard Lutnick. He is commenting here on Bitcoin, and I think this is way more bullish from the sound of it. So let's listen to this guy as well. He's managing the sovereign wealth fund.
Of where Bitcoin is going over the next 5 years is take a look at the last 5. Right? The last 5, Bitcoin has been an outsider in the finance business, but coming closer and closer and closer. Right now, there's an ETF just starting to go a little bit mainstream, maybe a toe in the water of mainstream, but banks still can't clear it. Banks still can't transact in it. Banks still can't custodian it. Banks still won't transact in it, and they won't finance it yet. I think people misunderstand traditional financial service companies. They want to transact in Bitcoin. They want new asset classes to transact in. That's just a good thing, but they need the regulator to say it's okay. Right now, today, right? If a bank were to hold your Bitcoin, they would have to set aside their own money equal to that amount in sort of like in a jail. I mean, you'd say, so, well, that's crazy. The answer is, that's why they don't hold it. But if you let them hold it, if the regulatory environment was good, you will see all the traditional financial service companies, the big banks, the big brokerage companies, they're all going to go headfirst into Bitcoin pond. That's what's going to happen, and it's coming. It's a slow, steady process, but eventually there's going to be a CFTC chair who says, you know what, Bitcoin is a financial asset, and we're going to treat it as such. And when that happens, you're going to see Bitcoin move in a very, very strong positive direction. So that's why I'm a fan of Bitcoin. It's going to go much higher. It always bounces around like any other financial asset, but ultimately over the next 5 years, as it gets invited into this party, up we go.
There you go. This sounds way more bullish, right? But he didn't hold a press conference, so the market doesn't care. But he basically says, first thing, regulation, which we didn't have because of the SEC and Gensler and whatever happened, right? And the previous administration. Now he says regulation is possible. The whole TradFi is looking to get into Bitcoin. Well, and so is probably then the US government, right? With the Sovereign Wealth Fund. That is a possibility. That is what he is responsible for. And that is bullish, right? So now we have basically the entire market is crying now about why the Trump team didn't explicitly says we're buying Bitcoin today. And according to Quinton here, it says this is why most people lose. They trade headlines on a 1 minute time frame while nation state adoption plays out over years, right? This more crypto friendly government is in place since 15 days or 16 days. What did they actually say? Regulatory clarity for crypto and stablecoins. The research groups to push adoption, a golden crypto age in the US. President Trump instructed to evaluate the idea for a Bitcoin reserve. Years ago, we would have dreamed of this, but because your bags didn't pump instantly, you are throwing tantrums. This is how big money and governments move, slowly, strategically, and then all at once. You either zoom out and win, or you stay impatient and get left behind. And also, if you're not owning several Bitcoin, then you don't want this to play out fast, because pumping your small bags doesn't really help anyone, right? What we want is, if we do not own enough Bitcoin or whatever crypto is being adopted in the long run, then we have to be happy about the slower process, because otherwise we will get left behind and in the dust, right? So there's always a positive side. Also a positive side to SEC and Gensler in the last run, because it actually brought us to the point where we can accumulate more, right? There were points where I didn't even think that I would be able to accumulate X amount of Bitcoin, right? So it all comes with a positive side. Now let's talk about why I think that Bitcoin is going up. And the answer lies in this, which is a part of this is on the thumbnail. And this is the Bitcoin futures perpetual funding rate. So basically, look at this. When these funding rates hit negative, this is very rare, that's usually when the next leg up happens, right? So here it wasn't, here it was 3 times next leg up. Here it was next leg up. Here it was very sharp and then a big run, right? It's a smaller time frame, right? It's inside of this year. We could go back and probably look at funding rates that are negative in the other cycles, and we would find the same pattern, but only in our structure here, we saw the funding rates turn negative several times, and every time we saw another leg up, right? Another move to the upside. We also see it right now unfolding. We have it here for the 7th time since basically the beginning of this year. And whenever they are very over leveraged, that's actually where you get corrections, right, in the market. So now we are range bound, and this is the first time in this range that we turn with negative funding rates. So I think it's only a matter of time until we go, and then who knows how long, but a matter of time also until we break out of this range bound zone. We were ranging a lot of time here until we broke out for the next leg, and then we ranged again. So funding rates negative is a good thing. Now, what's also turning almost negative is the US overnight reverse repo facility. And this is basically where the money is for pumping it into the market. Like if money is printed, this goes up, right? And then it's being allocated to the market. So you see, they have in the beginning of the year, they printed 400 billion. You remember us covering this? You remember here when we talked about this on the channel, about the spike up. That has all been allocated again, right? We are back to almost drained. There's only 97 billion in it. That's not much, right? In today's terms, that's not much. And this needs to, you see how this developed when they were starting to print money in 2021. You see it here also was completely drained, right? Now we're back to almost completely drained. It was for a longer time, and then boom, right? They were starting to print a ton of money and allocating a part of that money, obviously, as we see here. We're now almost at the empty levels that we saw here. Interesting to see and observe. Also, where's money minting happening is on USDT and USDC. If you follow the whale alert channels, you see that there has been 1 billion and then another 250 million minted at Tether Treasury, meaning that people are converting or buying Tether with money, and that subsequently probably is going to flow into the crypto market, right? You only need USDT for one thing, or for a couple of things, but for one thing mainly, and that is to buy crypto with it. Yeah, you can also obviously buy USDT and farm some yields with that, but probably it's going to be allocated in the crypto market. So if we're looking at that, where's my USD? Excuse me. USDT, here we see it, right? That obviously strengthens for a second USDT, but also it increases technically the overall crypto market cap. And then, you see it here. This is the daily. We don't need the daily, but let me quickly see. There we go. On the weekly, it becomes clear. USDT, let's put this arrow a little bit up here. USDT, we expect this to break down, right, at some point. So you see that USDT, whenever it's piling higher, that can be for two reasons. Money is flowing out of crypto, and then this is going higher. And new, fresh money is converted into crypto, and the percentage in the overall crypto market cap is higher once it's not allocated yet. So overall, there's let's call it that, a shitload of money waiting here to be allocated into the crypto market right now. It's piling up. We could even see if we are starting to see something like this, right? Again, where we would then collapse out of. But we will see. It's a little bit premature, right, to see that. I mean, you could say that it's already there, 3 touch points or so. But this money might be... this USDT might be flowing into the market very quickly at some point. The pink line that you see here obviously is the Bitcoin price. So we see that that the money is flowing at the moment, flowing out of crypto in general. Bitcoin is though stable. What I think is happening right now is that a lot of people, especially traders, have taken money out of altcoins to move back into Bitcoin. And that is supported by two things. First of all, altcoins are absolutely in the gutter. And secondly, the Bitcoin dominance is going higher, right? Or was going higher, way up to that almost 65 level. Crazy stuff. We have discussed it yesterday, but just to make the picture complete, right? So yeah, and then as per Kobayashi letter, we see here in 2025, in 2025, 9.2 trillion of US debt will either mature or needs to be refinanced. Okay, so that technically calls for it needs to be refinanced. Let's put it that way. That calls for these 9.2 trillion. They have to come from somewhere, right? So in total, the US now holds 36.2 trillion worth of government debt, meaning 25.4% of the total is set to mature. This is the real reason rates are rising. Okay, we will see. We will see about that. I'm not sure about that, but the Kobayashi letter has technically always a negative stance, like a negative bias, a bearish bias, right? But let's keep that in mind while we're reading through that. For some context, the US has added 23 trillion of debt since 2008, 230% increase. Since 2020, US debt is up 13 trillion, so in the last 5 years, 2.6 trillion per year for 5 straight years. Much of this debt was refinanced last year, and another major block is coming basically this year. This has been fueled by unprecedented levels of deficit spending, which this administration is aiming to cut, right? So we will see if it's still going on this level. But basically there was, and there is a 1 trillion per year on interest expense. So this is the reason why I disagree, because if the 1 trillion per year on interest expense is that high, then you want to lower the rates at some point, right? And basically have this increasing less, right? Green Lantern says, I don't see the upside in selling the lows on alts to move into BTC. No, that's not what I meant. Let's quickly address this. The lows are the consequence of the traders selling the alts, okay, in my opinion. So we have Bitcoin went down, like 15%, alts went down 30 or 40%, right? So someone has been selling the alts more than Bitcoin. So if the market agreed, or at least the short-term traders and maybe the new hands agreed on that it's better to move some profits out of altcoins into Bitcoin, then that explains why Bitcoin is only going down 15%, while all the altcoins are going down 40-50%, right? Or 30-40%. So I think they did not sell the low. They sold before or in the turn of this downswing, in my opinion, right? Where someone has to sell for, let's say, Mcade or something like that go down 40%. Someone has to sell it. Someone has to dump it, right? So that's but that's only my view. Let's see here. But that's basically it. This debt needs to be refinanced, probably printing money to do that, then more inflation to come, right? But they have to be careful with this, otherwise you can go into an inflation that really takes a long time to go down. More leverage liquidation in alts, that's possible. But do you think that all of that is just leverage trading? Then this market was insanely over leveraged, and also then someone has to buy back, right? I mean, the alts have difficulties to come back at the moment, as I see it at least. Especially the ones that are smaller, right? We see it here in the others dominance. we have a little bit of a problem to I mean, there is a comeback, of course, but we have a little bit of problem to get out of the slump on these altcoins. So yeah, if that's only leverage, it should bounce back quickly. But yeah, I see the point. That could happen. Still, like for me, yeah, I mean, you're right. The Bitcoin dominance could shoot up like this. By the way, are we going to form like a fat shooting star here on the weekly? Bitcoin dominance can move like this as so much liquidity or liquidation is happening. But there's one thing against it. And you remember Monday's stream when this happened. We looked at the largest liquidations, and the largest liquidations, if I recall it right, were actually in Bitcoin longs, and then like in Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? The largest amount, obviously, but in comparison, you are right. That would be the other angle. In comparison to the size of what Bitcoin is, the liquidations were way higher in the alts. That's true. Omiprazole says, lol, ETH so trash, still hasn't been able to get into the 2,800 support. Bitcoin dominance was like 74% max last cycle. This cycle should be way less than 65%. Should have been the top. Bitcoin dominance. Okay. Yeah, then this might have been the top. Let's see. Let's zoom a little bit out to see that. So yeah, here, this was the top in the last cycle. That was in December 20. 73.54, no, actually, yeah, 73.88%, so almost 74%. And then a drop all the way down, once it topped out, all the way down to May to 40%, right? So yeah, and then it basically stayed there until it turned around. That's also what I would like to see, that that Bitcoin dominance crashes to at least 41%, and then we will see, right? Yeah, but good call. In the last cycle, also we had something similar, right? You see this? We came back here, and then bam, we went to a new high. We have this in a little bit of a smaller time frame here, of course, and maybe this is not even the end of the rise, but we also had this, right? Something like rising channel wedge coming out, and then suddenly the turnaround. Yeah. Over a longer period of time, though. Nothing will repeat exactly in the same way, but yeah, that is that. It's crazy because BTC was going parabolic at the same time that its dominance was dumping. Was that the case? Let me see. Was that the case? I don't know. I'm not saying that it's wrong or something like that. Oh, by the way, we don't need all these indicators here. Let's put the Bitcoin price in here. Let's put the Bitcoin price in here. So, oh yeah, you're right. Wait, what? That I thought that this was going, like, Bitcoin dominance was going up with the Bitcoin price, but you're right. But this is when it topped out, right? So the real collapse is when it topped out. Okay. But here, yeah, you're right. Here, Bitcoin dominance went down on the last leg that this parabolic move is happening. Crazy. That is crazy. And also here, like, it went down here to this point. Bitcoin just moved sideways, and people were already buying alts. That's crazy. So this is a little bit different than what we see today, right? I mean, also here, Bitcoin dominance is going here. Bitcoin dominance is going higher together with this move, right? Interesting. So the question is then, how much Bitcoin is left in our move, right? For the dominance when the dominance falls, right? So when people are basically buying more alts than that, do we have still more gas in the tank, or will this time be different, right? I mean, we see it here. This is a very good call. I never recognized this. Also here, look at that. Bitcoin tops out, and in this alt season, and basically it falls from all the way down to 67%. Wow. So Bitcoin is, all this dump here happens while Bitcoin is rallying into the last leg. So you could argue that maybe this happens when Bitcoin goes into its last leg, which is then still to come, right? That could happen. Yeah, Bitcoin goes, and this starts falling at the same time, whereas so much money is flowing into alts, more money than Bitcoin. That's the only explanation then. Very interesting stuff here that you're bringing to the table, Omeprazole. That is very interesting. I was not aware of this. Funny thing though is that the second this fake top, so to say, happens on another small push, a bounce from this, a double, triple bottom here or whatever, right? That is in Bitcoin dominance. That's very interesting. So we should be observing that once the next leg up comes. Actually, it fits the topic of this channel, right? The next push would be soon. So if this next push comes in hard, we should see if the dominance already drops off while this push is happening. It seems to be that money is getting ready for this. So let's see how we are doing in our cycle comparison. We're now very, very much off on this comparison here, which is from the halving. So this is the halving comparison here. We have been off before, and then we realigned, right? You see it down here. The yellow line is our current cycle. But right now we are decoupling a little bit again from the previous cycle trajectories, which I think we are going to realign once more as we did here. An underperformance though is expected, right? Let's take out this one. We don't need it. So it's a little bit more the last two cycles, right? We should be rallying already. I mean, we have bounced back, but we have not rallied yet. Okay, and let's also refresh here on this one. Yeah, here's our bounce back. So let's move this into the middle a little bit more. And let's also remove the first era. Also here, right, we see it right now. We are massively underperforming now both cycles, right? But especially the 2017 cycle, we're underperforming. We are due a realignment in that direction towards the top, which in both cases was here, right? What is that? 337 days from the halving. Yeah. When did we underperform? Here, there's only one case basically where we massively underperformed both cycles, and that is this era, about 200 days before the halving. So that would be 337 after the halving, and that would be, let's just see here on the Bitcoin. On the Bitcoin chart, let's see how much we are, how far we are already. Whoops. Let me check this here. So this is why. Ah, man. Sorry for that. Okay. So we are 297 days from the halving, roughly. So that would put us for another 50 days or so, roughly. Oh, you can see that. Or not all of it. Yeah. 294 days we are in, basically. And then that makes it another 40 something days to go until we should be realigned over there at the top in this chart, right? In this chart that we are then here, right? That is the top of the green era, right? The first top. And then there is so much more to go in case we're following the orange line that is way. So this is our first push, right? This should be over within 40 something days, the first push here. And then there's the second push, right? The second push that is then 547 days, or in the orange case, 525 days from the halving. Okay. 500, what did I say? 525. Okay, so let's measure this also. 525 days from the halving is exactly here, a little bit beyond. That would be mid-end September, okay? Mid-end September would be that then, yeah? Okay, so depending which cycle trajectory you follow, first push ends before the sell-in may go away, and the second push ends mid-end September, even though in the other cycles it was then December. Yeah. If we don't hit 225 by March, Houston, we may have a problem. Yep, maybe, but we will see. First target, there is still the target, the breakout target from the cup and handle, which is 120,000 roughly. That would be my target for reevaluating everything, a little bit more cautious. Yeah, we might be in for a little bit more sideways here though. How long? We cannot say, but buyers coming in strong on the lower level. Now, let's look at the altcoin market very quickly. We have a mixed day where some coins are down, some like Ultima are pumping, Pengu is recovering. Overall, a little bit mixed. We are still deep in the red on the alts on the week, except Ultima, Dexy, and Hype. Everything else is red. Also, Trump coin suffered quite a bit. Let's see the Trump coin a little bit here in the. Wait a second. That is we need at least a daily chart or something like that. Sorry, what happened to the alignment here? Let's get rid of this. That's BTC in comparison. Yeah, so that is Trump on Binance. Let's see if it was longer on Gate. So definitely FOMOing into something that's pumping like this is not good, right? You see it here, the wick high all the way down to this wick low, minus 80%. That is bear market style. Of course, it could do a comeback, but yeah, you see like FOMOing green candles is never a good idea. People definitely got wrecked on this one. Yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of this coin, to be honest. So this is very quick trades only on stuff like that, and I'm not doing that, right? But overall, like all the altcoins, let's check out randomly Injective, for example, here, are yeah, are suffering, let's put it that way, hopefully finding support here, by the way, on top of this right now. That would be good. Let's put here also a marker in. That would be good to find here support for Injective. Yeah, next level would then be this support, which was previous bull market support. That would be this line. So if Injective comes down to 9 or to, let's just say 10, right? That would be still another 30% move or so. What is that here? Yeah, 30% move. Just as an example for an altcoin, right? I think Injective is good. I think Injective is US based. I'm not sure, but people are like, oh, I have to buy US based stuff. Once again, we see that if you're on the higher time frames, if you're going into the 90 zone of an RSI, that might be a good time to lock in some profits, right? Even though that there was another push high here, that was a good time to take profits. And then you can still use those profits to rebuy. I'm just taking the candle close and going to where we are right now. 65% discount just by locking in some profits on that RSI. And yeah, rebuying maybe then there, right? That's a good deal. Lastly, Veve, right? There is a new app update again, so they're really building on this app, right? So mobile app update. Ongoing updates to mobile app continue. Latest update 2.11 is available. Latest updates notifications now work accurately. That's good. All components of card now display accurately. Other small enhancements, bug fixes. I'm not sure. I've not logged in since a couple of days, so I'm not sure if the performance has already been fixed or not. I hope it did. If not, please, please do, right? It's basically that would be my advice here. Please, get into that. Now, new this week, Marvel Comics. Same day as print releases. It's good that they have now a nicer advertisement on not only static pictures, but showing readability of this comic, plus owning exclusive variants, collect extremely scarce limited edition cover variants, and or blah blah blah, right? So that is really nice advertisement here for the comics. Comics and collectibles look way better in the app. It's much more inviting. That is good. So I will check this out. February 18th, we skyrocket, says Jesper Frank. Nice. If we don't, okay, that we already saw. Then also, Veve is posting about Fantastic Four, so maybe there's something coming from that. Seems that there is a new movie coming or so. Qui-Gon Jinn comic launching. What is this? Is Ben Rose teasing something? Why is there a blue balloon here for Veve? I like that they are constantly doing these app updates and posting about it. That is good. I will check back into the app now that I know that some things are coming. I missed this comic. This is Avengers 66 with a Thor. I like Thor, so nice cover there. Also white panel secret rares. I missed this, to be honest. But maybe it's still in store or something like that. I don't know. What is this? Also Mighty Avengers. Okay, so the rest we saw yesterday already. So on that note, that's it for today. We had a little bit of Veve here. Let's see. Bullish Bob says BTC will pump in the morning. Seems to be the trend. Hopefully, every pump is nice, but now it's time to go to the gym for me before work. And then, wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. And I catch you in the next video live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, notifications on, and consider becoming a rare hodler. Bye.